People, people, it's what I'm talking about. People, people, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. And today I am here. It is still quite a chilly time of year. Yesterday I went out to vote, and yesterday and today I have to zip up my coat. Board games we might talk about. But we'll talk about pronouns, and I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are, and welcome to Busy Beats and Board Game Blether number 366. I am streaming, I'm out here in the garden, and I might do a little tour. I am not plugged in, so this is going to last less than an hour, and I am hoping. Yeah, I stream every day at 10 a.m. UK time, and today is the Friendly Friday Forum. Every Friday, I invite people to join me. If you're watching this right now and you're thinking, hey, you know what? I would like to join Bez, then if you're watching live, you can click the link that I just pressed and it will chuck you in your browser. We're going to talk about how we are. We're going to talk a wee bit about pronouns as a nominal topic of conversation. And yeah, hopefully have a bit of fun together. Let's start off by talking about one of the regular sections. Before that, of course, if you're new to the show, we'll talk about recent highlights, have a chance for questionably quick questions, share a brilliant thing, and then we will get to the main topic, which is how we are and all about pronouns. So, recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. What are some of your recent highlights? Personally, yesterday I managed to get to the post office. This was the first time that I'd been to the post office for quite a while, let me tell you. And oh, now I remember what the other thing that was going to post was. Yeah, so there was one item that I posted to someone as a competition prize, and I should have done it a week ago, but better late than never, eh? And sent that over to the USA. Hopefully, they will enjoy playing it. It was the Dice and Ink thing. That was to celebrate my 3,000th follower on Twitter, which was quite a milestone. Getting outside, having a wee bit of a cycle, venturing to a brand new post office. These were highlights. Also had a wee walk with Layla. That was lovely. And then went into Sainsbury's together, and I ventured to buy a new type of Magnum ice cream. It was incredibly sugary on the outside, I'm not going to lie. Um, yeah, I had two of them, Layla had one, and yeah. But that was a tasty treat for sure. So, those are some of my recent highlights. If anything has been a recent highlight for you, then please jump in. I like to, sometimes on Fridays, I like to look back at the week that's passed and think, what have been some of the most wonderful things in the past week? For me, some of these moments have been as small as just hearing the birds singing, hearing someone laugh, and being welcomed by Joanne. Like, actually, I'm going to return the shouts out. Just Joanne, see if you're on Twitter, then you will. It's worth checking out Joanne, who's lovely, does some art, sometimes does some music, and is definitely a friend of the show, has popped in to one or two chats. Um, yeah, it's been sunny. It's been nice. I've also been, yeah, trying trying to be kind to myself, and other people have been letting. Oh my gosh, how could I forget? I recorded something with Richard Simpson last night. Also, I voted yesterday. My gosh, there's just so much that happens in a day. I went and voted. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for, but yep, I did vote for the London mayor and London council and what's not. Who London mayor does have a wee bit more power than any other mayor in the UK because, it's a bigger city, they're given a much bigger budget. But yeah, anyway, those are definitely some recent highlights. And chatting to people, I just adore it. So let's now move on to the questionably quick questions. What are some of, if you've got any questionably quick questions for me, then now is the time to chuck them in. And I have a questionably quick question for anyone watching, which is, where are you? Where are you watching from? And if you're watching live, what time is it? I am currently in the UK, in London. It is 6 minutes past 10. And as you can see, if I raise the camera, it is quite a gorgeous day. And the blue skies, green leaves, the lights flowing through the leaves, it's all just gorgeous. And so, if you have any questionably quick questions, one question I will ask myself is it incumbent upon citizens to vote? And, there's definitely wow, that's a big question. Obviously, you've got Australia who forces, it's your legal obligation to vote. And then you've got places, the rest of the world, where, I don't know what's the biggest turnout we've ever had, but I don't think it was even 50% for the Brexit referendum, which is kind of crazy. Oh, cat. I should have brought maybe a treat with me to see if I could get the cats. Oh. Anyway, so I feel like, in a sense, yes, voting, unless there was something that was going to be separated by one vote, in a real sense, whether you vote or whether you don't vote has no difference. But it's kind of the tragedy of the commons. Do you know what I mean? Like, if all the people who are thinking of voting for a party that they think, oh, that would never get into power, if they actually voted for that party, just vote with your hearts. I kind of abhor tactical voting for a reason. I kind of feel like saying, yeah, if you want to get someone into power, vote for them. Don't worry about the fact that they're a third party or a minority in the UK. Just vote. And if enough people want, anyway, I don't know. Let's talk about brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? So firstly, I think that being able to cast a vote, I think in a very real sense, that is brilliant. Having an opportunity to share your thoughts, to change the shape of what's going to happen. But I am going to talk about a completely different thing. I'm going to talk about the athleticism of cats, because I'm looking over there and I wish I had a camera. A little cat is just now stalking through the grass, but a moment ago there were some leaps, bounds, twists in the air. And yesterday, when housemates was around, pushing this little toy around, and the cat was flipping in the air, doing massive somersaults. So I just think that's the athleticism of a cat, the ability to twist in midair, to actually change direction, to go, wow. It's almost like a platformer that you wouldn't think it was actually real. But yeah, to me, that is pretty gosh darn brilliant. So, cats. If you've got any comments, ask questions, fun like follow, feel free to do that. and I am going to get on to the main topic of Friendly Friday Forum. I'm going to talk about how I am. If you are watching, then please join me. You can share about how you are, and we'll talk about pronouns. I've got my wee where's my thing? So may maybe we'll. I don't think we'll play a game. If I did, I'd love you to play along. But maybe I'll sing, performing some sort of song. As always on a Friday, it's also about you. I really am quite interested in all the things you do. How are you? I hope you're well. If not, you can share and tell. How was your week? Any highlights, lessons learned, gaming delights? What are you looking forward to? What are the things that you're trying to do? We might get into a deep discussion, but we'll dip out again for some silly action. And if you're cool, you can join me on camera, even if briefly. Jump in, jump out, but please don't shout. And mute yourself if making some noise when you're not chatting. Hopefully that explains what's going on. So, the question of how am I? I am honestly sometimes when you see me on camera, this is the thing, isn't it? It's only a fraction of ourselves. And when you see someone, you only see them when they're with other people. If that person is quite extroverted, then you're going to kind of see them at their best. Do you know what I mean? Like if you are seeing me with, if you see me when I am in a crowd, if you see me at conventions, then I am personally likely to be happier because I love being at conventions. I enjoy streaming. And when people are there, when there's a bustling chat, when people are in the chat ready to chat to me, I love that. That's one of my, highlights. Some days like today, there's no one interacting, which is a wee bit sad. And then today, personally, I'm kind of focused on that. I'm focused on, okay, what am I talking about? So sometimes there's not really time to sit back and let ourselves get distracted by our own sorrows. Do you know what I mean? But then when my focus isn't on the screen, when my focus is just on, okay, where am I going to sit in the house? What am I going to be? I think of, yeah, I wish I had a neater room. How has the week gone? I haven't done any tidying. I've not really done any of the major things that I wanted to do. I don't feel like I've made much progress. I have what's are the main highlights of the past week? Because obviously I've streamed, but that's not what I want my life to be. I don't want the sum total of my life to be some streaming. I want it to be more like, hey, I do some streaming, that's a fun thing, but also I make these games. I guess, yeah, of course, it's nice to remember that people do sometimes jump on. And I don't want to get into the whole thing where when I stream, that's the sum total of what I'm doing. And so obviously it's a thing that I'm thinking about. So I end up just talking about streaming for 2 hours. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to make this a show where that's every single episode. Even though I love it when I jump into Mark's chats and then we have that discussion. Yeah, it's difficult. I, I do enjoy streaming. What have been my biggest achievements of the last week? I guess I've moved slightly towards clarity in some areas of my life. I've chatted with the lovely Jess, who is part of my support group. Jessica Mederingham, Jessica Mederingham and Molly Zeff, who you might know from Top Tabletop Tuesdays, and also Heather Newton and Kirsty were parts of this. But yeah, chatting to Jess, it helped me gain clarity a wee bit. And I feel like I am moving towards clarity. I've lined up a discussion today that I hope will help me. I and some weeks you don't make massive progress, and sometimes maybe that's okay. Of course it is. And we have to be kind to ourselves. So maybe allowing myself to be kind, that is a wee bit of a weekly highlight, that I'm kind of more prosaic. It's like, whatever happens, happens. So I would like to now talk about pronouns. Let's move to that section. Okay, so let's talk about pronouns. Okay, what I'm going to talk about, what's a pronoun, what's the conjugation of a pronoun, why should people share their pronouns, talking about tasking for pronouns, and why I present pronouns myself the way I do. So you'll notice that when I have a guest, I always ask them to put their pronouns in brackets afterwards. That's because, let's say someone's called Jennifer. Let's say Jennifer is a she. In the English language, it can sound vaguely awkward if you say, oh, I like Jennifer. Jennifer is really friendly, and Jennifer's even once had a private chat with me. That pronouns are basically a way to shorten, to avoid saying the name repeatedly if you don't want to. Maybe you want to use fewer syllables. In a sense, pronouns are something that they might be a thing that you use when you're talking about someone that you don't know the name of. And if that person's really far away, right, you would say, oh, look at that person off in the distance. I wonder who they are. It looks like they've got 3 arms. What's going on with that? And then they come closer and then you say, oh no, I see they've got a really tall hat. Wow, that's an interesting hat. That hat looks like it's got an arm and a hand on the end. What's up with that hat? Anyway, so so there was a while where people would use the pronoun they when people are unsure of a person's name or gender. Then we went through a phase where, for some reason, we decided that he was gender neutral. And in legal text, it's often, and old board games do this, saying, talk to whoever the tenant is, the tenant shall do this, in illegal documents, it actually doesn't use pronouns. I don't think it would do the tenant, the landlord, spelling things out in full. But in some formal speech, might say, oh, I wonder who that person is off in the distance. Oh, he looks like he's got 3 arms. Even if you're unsure of their gender, maybe it's a woman over there. You don't know. Now, recently, in the past, 20 years, it's been talked about how gender is more than just sex. Gender is more than just the genitals that you've got. It's also a construct of society. It's a construct of the mind. And I think it's worth remembering that if you say she or if you say he, that has baggage with it. Do you know what I mean? There is definitely a lot of baggage in society with those words. If you say, thank you, sir, or thank you, madam, those have different implications. And maybe I would love this to be changed. I would love this to be different. But I think that we are going to have an easier time adopting gender neutral third person pronouns than we are trying to take everything out of all the connotations out of that language. So now, where are we? If you're unsure of someone's gender, please Don't just say, okay, that person seems to have this sort of bone structure or this sort of face, and I'm going to call them she. Don't think, okay, this person has this sort of face and this sort of bone structure, I'm going to call them he. Because, hey, for all you know, maybe someone is actually, I mean, like, even, like, yeah, of course, there's trans men, there's trans women, there's non binary people. There's also people who are cis women who are assigned female at birth, who are born with female genitals and no male genitals. Like, obviously, there's hermaphrodites as well. There's intrasex people. There's also some people who are one particular gender, but for whatever reason, men who might look quite effeminate or women who might look quite masculine. And just because they look quite effeminate doesn't make them necessarily a woman. Just because they look quite masculine doesn't mean that they're necessarily a man. And so I would caution people to say, just thank you. And I'm going to turn around and let's see how it goes if I am out here. I'm going to take you on this is a little view from the garden, so I will sit here. Oh my gosh, did you hear that crow? And I do apologise for the noises. This is just what I do on Fridays. But, yep. So, masculinity and femininity are things. And this is, again, social construct. Like, the notion that a flowery shirt should be feminine, or the notion that pink is feminine, or that dark colours are somehow more masculine. Why is that? The notion that, lighter colours are somehow more feminine, that, fancy frills are more feminine. And the irony is that someone said, so if you've got a tartan skirt which doesn't have pleats, an actual kilt is completely pleated, and then pleats are traditionally seen as a feminine thing, which is an interesting one. And oh look, got a little. I'm going to see if I can. No, it's not willing to get onto my finger. A little. Oh, don't know if you can see that. No, it's. There you go, a little bug from the garden. But no. It was a little green bug with wings. Anyway, that, I guess my point becomes, please, if someone, so pronouns have all these connotations. Pronouns are almost as much a sense of declaring this is who you are. This is something really intimate about you. If you're not, you're either assuming, even if you're a transphobe, and you've got to agree that you're assuming what someone's genitals are like, and that's even more messed up. I mean, if you're a transphobe, you should be even more on board of using they as and morning, Alex. I'm just in the midst of talking about pronouns. I finished the regular sections about 7 minutes ago, and just talking about how there's so much baggage in she, in he, in madame, in sir, in all of this gendered language, in the notion of, oh, thank you, hey, let's go girls, or hey, let's go boys. Like, what's all that about? It's why do you have to use this? And why, when you see someone does a shopkeeper, why should you say, oh, thank you ma'am, or thank you sir? Why should you do this? Just say thank you very much. If you want to show extreme gratitude, very much does it. You don't. Why do we have gendered honorifics? I wish we had some sort of honorific like sir or madam that was easy to say. But if you are working in a shop, and I get it, I've worked in retail where I've been told by my superiors that you need to say thank you, sir, or thank you, ma'am. And it's like, hmm. But if instead you say thank you very much or thank you kindly, it has that same, slightly old timey thing. It shows that it's not thank you, it's but thank you, and then there's a bit added. Oh, sorry. That is one thing. That's about wanting to bring in genderless language. The other thing is how do we display our pronouns? So over here, I've got she, comma, they. Traditionally, and I will acknowledge and listen to stream elements. Whoa, I have got this tangled up under me. Anyway, so pronouns traditionally they would be she slash her, he slash his or him, and they slash their. Traditionally, with pronouns, you would show how to conjugate them. And by conjugations, I mean she, her, hers. So, like, once you've heard the word she, do you need to hear the word her? Because you're like, oh, how do I say Jennifer is good? I like. She is good. I like his teeth. People understand. People who understand what that means already understand how to conjugate these pronouns. No one says she slash his. If you write she, then her and hers is already assumed. So that brings me to the point that she alone, in brackets, would be sufficient. I don't think there's any need to have she slash her. I think it would be. Now, that brings me to my second point. Why do I have they in these pronouns? It is because I am putting all the pronouns that I feel I am comfortable with. So if you use the pronoun they, I am comfortable with that. If you use the pronoun she for me, I am comfortable with that. I'm not particularly comfortable with any other pronouns being applied to me. Now, when people come onto my show, I ask them to put the pronouns that they are comfortable with in order of descending order of how comfortable they are. So if you are using gendered pronouns for people, then please use she. I personally try to use they for everyone, partially to normalize the notion of they as a third person singular for when you don't know the gender of someone. But there are also people like Harley, who is non-binary. Harley has just they in their pronouns. I'm trying to think of other non-binary people that I've had on my show. I can't think of any. Anyway, there's been some other people like Chris, who has, I can't remember what the order was, but it might have been they, comma, she, comma, he, where Chris just puts all three of them. And I appreciate Chris not just putting anything, because I had a chat with Chris and I said, please, if you would actually spell it out to make it clear that all three of these are happy to be applied to you. Now, from a linguistic point of view, maybe I should have a wee slash rather than a comma. I'm not sure about that one. So I'm happy to take input on that. But I hope that you... So there are some people who put she, and they're just uncomfortable with the pronoun they being applied to them, and I use them there as a third person plural. But yes, those people don't like the pronoun they. And so if there's one or two people or three people or four people who say, hey, I'm a he, but I don't feel comfortable with they being applied to me, At that point, I'll make a special attempt to try and not use the word they. Pronouns. There was obviously a point where we had neopronouns, stuff like sie, zer, zers, stuff like that. And you can look up neopronouns, so neo pronouns. So you will get all sorts of things that people were trying to build up to try and normalize in the English language, but for a variety of reasons, they haven't quite caught on. And people have, as far as I'm aware, generally moved away from doing that. I moved closer towards just using they. Now, if you only feel comfortable with a neopronoun, then at that point, yes, it makes sense to have all the conjugations. But if you feel comfortable with they, you don't need to have all the conjugations. You just say, my pronoun is they. And I will understand. Okay, they are cool. I like their attitude, and I like to be around them. And if you say my pronoun is she, I will know that she is cool. I like her attitude. I like to be around her. It's people hopefully understand how to conjugate these three words. He is cool. I like his attitude. I like to be around him. It's she, her, he, his, him, they, their, them. It does occur to me that, we have. She is the only one that has both conjugations are the same, but hey ho, I don't think there's too much to read into that. Now, why does it matter? Why does it matter? Ultimately, it matters because you want to respect a person in the same way that if your name is Alex, let's say your name is Alex, if I say, hey, Lexi, or hey, Rex, or hey, Bex, or hey, hey there, Tex. Like if we decided between ourselves, if I've gotten close enough to you that we have a pet's name or something, then that's one thing. If we've decided that you would like a pet name and you're comfortable with that, we've got to establish that first, and then. But fundamentally, if I'm just doing it because I don't care, that shows a fundamental lack of respect for the individual. The fact that you learn someone's name, that you say, okay, this is that person's name, that person, Aquasulis, that's what is written there, that's what Alex is happy to be known as Aquasulis or Alex Cannon or Al Cannon in public, that's what you go by. And myself, I'm happy to be Bez. And that's pretty much it. If you have me on a legal document, then sure, it's Behrouz Shahriori. But on the front of a game box, it would be Behrouz Bez Shahriori, because that honors my surname and my given name, but it's Bez feels more like this is my identity. And if someone's like, hey, Behrouz, it's a wee bit weird, and for sure there can be a case of, okay, there's some sort of power over using someone's full name. Like if I say, hello there, Ian Smith, and they say, hello there, Behrouz Shahriari, and we'll have a giggle, and we know that we're kind of being overly familiar as a sign of overly formal as a sign of familiarity, which is something that happens very much in Glaswegian places. I don't know if I've actually seen it in England, but maybe it happens in English places as well. I don't know. Anyway, but you have to, in the same way that I wouldn't say hello. Do you get what I mean? In the same way that I wouldn't use the wrong name for someone. In the same way that if I use the wrong name for someone, they might let it go. And if I keep doing it, then, or if they're expecting us to friendship or any sort of repeat encounter or relationship, I would expect them to say, oh, by the way, my name isn't actually Bex. My name is Bez, by the way. If someone says, oh, is your name Bex? And, well, if they asked, then I'd say, no, it's not, it's Bez. But if they said, oh, Bex, and I might, or Ben, sometimes I just let it go. Sometimes I assume it's a autocorrect fail, and I'm just like, whatever. But if someone keeps doing it, I will say, by the way, that's not my name. It's like that song by the Tintin. What is it? Like, they call me too. They call me something else. They call me something else again. But that's not my name. And that's the thing, like, sharing someone's name is a sign of respect. Using the correct pronoun is a sign of respect. So please, please, please use the correct pronoun for that. And yep, I hope that makes sense. And I don't really have anything else to say about pronouns, but off the top of my head, if anyone has any questions, if anyone wants to say anything about how they are, oh, is it they call me her? Or they call me he, but they call me Z, but they call me she, but that's not my pronoun. Is it actually they call me her? Is that actually the lyrics of that? Anyway, pronouns. So yeah, ultimately, use someone's correct pronouns because it is all about respect. It shows that you actually care enough to learn. It shows that you care enough to address someone by the correct thing. If you don't know someone's pronoun, for goodness sake, for the sake of being a good person, for the sake of goodness, yes, just use their full name, especially if it's Xate or Bez or, yeah, if it's a one-syllable name, why not just use that person's name? If it's Sai, if it's Bez, if it's Dan, I would like to normalize just using one-syllable names. True story. And I went out with someone who has since become something I'm not quite sure, but they deleted their Facebook profile. Wow. This literally just drops onto my head. Did you see that? A twig just drops onto my head. I am going to... how long have I been streaming? 37 minutes, 49 seconds. I want to see that happen again. Wow. Yeah, let's see if I can see that happen again. But all the twigs are falling down. Sorry, I'm skipping through the thing, trying to find... Anyway. So, what they call me Hell. They call me Stacy. They call me her. They call me Jane. That's not my name. It's not my name. Are you calling me, darling? Are you... And the thing about those names is they're not even derogatory. But I don't... But it's about respect, isn't it? It's that... Okay. There we go. Yeah. I am going to... Where's... Can I... Yes, I can actually change the playback setting. Amazing. I am going to... In a first, I'm going to share my... Where's the YouTube? There we go. I'm going to share this, but not only I'm going to share this, but it's at a quarter speed. So, yeah, let's watch. Just like there was a twig, it just like landed on my head. Fancy that. That has been a real highlight for me. I just want to acknowledge that. Anyway, pronouns, respect people, think of their pronouns. There's the twig falling on my head. Yep, let's see that again. Um, yep, there's a stick falling on my head. Um, there's the stick falling on my head again. Oh, I'm enjoying this. There's a stick falling on my head again. Oh, that's some comic relief. Okay, back to, yeah. Darling is a bit patronizing. I do agree. Like when you say, hey babe, hey darling, hey princess. Oh, there's connotations in all of these things. Just fundamentally be mindful. Yeah, if you're calling someone, hey darling, there's almost like a, and why are these always, you know, there's a meme around, would you say it to The Rock? If you know Dwayne Johnson, who is known as The Rock on some sort of wrestling, would you say, hey darling? Would you say it to The Rock? Because if you would say to The Rock, hey darling, then great. If you say, hey people, let's go, and if it's The Rock and if let's say it's two twins of The Rock, to make it easier, let's say it's The Rock and say, okay, let's go team, let's go people, let's go folks. All of these feel like they would apply, but hey, let's go darling. I mean, why are all of these applied to women? Why are all of these female? And that gendered language is a completely separate issue. Oh, but yeah, in your mind, think, would I say it to The Rock? Would I say... And this probably is a better check for someone who still has some of that innate... You know, I'm not saying you're a bad person if you've got some toxic masculinity. If anything, that means that you've been, you know... Toxic masculinity is about men not feeling like they can cry, like not feeling like they can talk about their emotions, like and then there's also some, you know, innate, what's the word I'm looking for, male, not kind of chauvinism. Like it is a patriarchal society and around us, and so I think that can be internalized so much. But before you say, oh, hey darling, or fundamentally, would you say it to The Rock? Because if not, why are you saying it to this person? Why are you calling them darling? Why are you calling them princess? Why are you calling them babe? Why are you calling them hey boys? If you would say hey boy, yeah, just think about it. Please just put these checks in for yourself. And that's the end of my talk about pronouns. That's the end of that. And oh, hello, Joanne. I have just finished everything that I wanted to say about pronouns. But if you have anything that you want to say, if either of you want to jump in on screen, then feel free to jump in using the link over here. You can join me. I am going to finish up by the end of the hour. I have decided that Fridays I'm going to keep quite short. I noticed that for whatever reason my battery is going down a lot slower today than it went down last Friday. But yeah, so if you have anything more to say, because it's not just me talking about pronouns for an hour, that's not what I wanted this to be about. It's also about how are you genuinely. And I'm going to go and repeat the poem that I did right at the start. As always on a Friday, it is also about you. I really am quite interested in all the things you do. How are you? I hope you're well. If not, you can share and tell. How was your week? Any highlights, lessons learned, gaming delights? What are you looking forward to? What are the things you're trying to do? We've got into a deep discussion, but we can dip out again for some silly action. If you're cool, you can join me on camera, even if just briefly. Jump in, jump out, but please don't shout. and mute yourself if making noise when you're not chatting. Respectful questions and comments are a go. Please be you for the entire show. And that's totally fair. And yeah, if you have any questions, if you have anything, I guess, yeah, if you have anything that you want to talk about, to share about how you are genuinely, I guess at this point I'm just going to recap. That's the new Friendly Friday forum. I did say I'd try to keep it to an hour, even though it feels really weird. But this is the new normal. So, you've been fretting about the sound on your show. Well, as someone who was watching you yesterday, Joanne, I felt like the sound was great. I could hear you clearly. I could see your drawing. I thought it was, yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, don't fret. Like, if you get into a point where you're like, oh, like there's always a way to make it 5% better. Do you know what I mean? But definitely it is very good. I feel like it's clear. And yes, 100%. If people are telling you it's okay, then at some point you just need to trust those people. Let me go on to Twitch too, because you know what? Next week maybe I'll talk about StreamYard. Oh no, this is the thing. So let me pop that into that window so I can share it. And let's add this. So this is webcomic name. I think this is the official. So you need to hide your genitals. Someone has a vulva, someone has a penis, but only wear clothing that represents those genitals. Whenever people see your clothes, they should really be thinking about your genitals. Oh no. And yeah, that kind of summarizes it. Why are clothes so gendered? Why? Yeah, it's all sorts of messed up. Why do we have to have makeup in a certain way for women, but if you have makeup as a man, then suddenly it's something weird? It should be like everyone should be free to wear trousers if they want. Everyone should be free to wear a dress if they want. Everyone should be free to wear a tie or, makeup or lipstick or whatever if they want. And yeah, once again, I agree with this comic. Joanne has some. Okay, Joanne, what's that? Question marks. Oh, are you talking about the comic? Yes, this comic is certainly. This comic is certainly talking about how weird the normal society is. Joanne, for you, in 2 minutes, I will show you a wee bit more of the garden. So, let me make myself big again. There we go. So firstly, thanks for the reassurance. Yep, you don't need to compare yourself to Amadeus. Yes, I go to Erin Shea live, and I feel like Erin Shea is just amazing, and I will never be Erin Shea. Amadeus will never be Erin Shea. I've never seen anyone else on Twitch that comes close to Erin Shea. But, Joanne, you are yourself. You're fostering a place of truth and togetherness and community. And, yeah. And only recently, I've known people who have challenged normal view. I've learned a lot. And I'm happy that you're there to not just speak, but also listen. I really appreciate that about you. And, yes, the comic is weird, but I think it's making a very strong point that this is, and so let me get rid of this. And firstly, I will take you on a wee walk. So this is our biggest tree under which I was streaming earlier today. We've got we've got this used to be a grapevine until the next door neighbours cut down something and then it died. And this bit is actually a pear tree, and so later on you get actual really hard pears from here. And so this is the pear tree, and this here is the apple tree. So this here is the apple tree, and you can see all the apple blossoms. And I will lie down on the grass for a wee bit for the rest of this show. This is the garden. So there we go. Now if I lie down, then you can sort of see that. Let me see if I can manage to. Yep, I can just about pop that up on one leg. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed that very brief tour. Oh yes, and this is the bit where we let it grow. So some bits we cut it short, and some bits we let it grow. So here we've got these things that would take over the garden if we let them. And oh, that's a really bright sun in my eyes. You can see, hopefully, there's some bluebells just over there. I hope you can see the bluebells okay. Oh, so there you go. And that is the garden. So thank you everyone. You see the bluebells, excellent. Oh, and there's one last thing. I will get up and show you this one last bit, which is shall I actually blow the dandelion clock? Okay. So firstly, I have this. I planted this, and let me see if you can see what I'm pointing at. So, sorry for all the weird colours, but this is actually a blackberry bush, and Chris actually made a sort of trellis here, where it's sort of giving it somewhere to grow around. It actually gave me blackberries last year, and let's see if I get out of the way. Now you can see the little thing. Sorry about the bad camera, but you can. There's a little plant here. Here you go. So this little plant, this bit of wood was nailed on from a pallet. So there was a pallet, and then this is actually grown quite big. So it's all the way from the ground up to here. It's literally as tall as, well, if I lifted it up, it is literally taller than me. You see that? But yeah, I planted that. That was just over a year ago. I think it was literally the start of 2020. And then it grew up so quickly, and anyway. And the final bit is around this wee bush, where in front of this tree, and we are very blessed. Yes, I do live. I live very much within London. I am happy to share half my postcode, which is N15. So please don't actually stalk me if you want to. You know what? If you are someone that would like to play games with me, and I know you and we get to know each other, then frankly, I am very happy to walk around with people and to potentially invite people over to the house to play games, when that will be safe again. Not right now, but N15, so I am between Finsbury Park. I am nearish Finsbury Park, let's put it that way. Yeah, Finsbury Park is something that most people know. There's also a football team there. I can't remember what it's called. I think it might be Arsenal. I can't remember. Someone correct me. Anyway. why are you sad? But yeah, um, yeah. Why are you sad, Alex? I mean, are you sad that we can't meet up right now? I mean, hopefully in a few months, if you want to come over to London one day, you totally could. And take a Friday off, join us at playtest on a Friday. You could come over. I know you well enough, Alex, that you could even, sleep over. Hopefully we'll, get you on the couch or something. But I know you'd be away from your family. London is pretty big with lots of suburbs. This is true. I am about, let's say, 10. I am between 7 and 15 miles. I am from what people would consider the centre of London. Although the centre of London is pretty big. Like, do you consider the centre of London the financial sector with, like, around St. Paul's and, like, there's little banks where no one lives? Or do you consider the centre of London the Bank of the Thames? I mean, those things are, like, a mile apart, literally. Anyway. Alex, if you want to know my address, I will... Makes me feel good knowing you got the idea from a garden stream from me. I feel I've done a good thing. Oh yeah, you have, definitely, Joanne. And also, you know how you do, I do the little lines and do the further explanations, like Friendly Friday Forum, talking about how we are, talking about pronouns. Unfortunately, that's not in the Twitch thing because I only realised that I should clarify it slightly this morning. But also that is like this thing here is because of you, Joanne. And thank you very much. So now I really am going to finish up. It has been lovely. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Alex, for joining in. Let me actually lift this. I am going to go back to a marginally more comfortable position. Let's see. Where should I sit? I will sit back on a chair because... So, back here. Sorry about all the movement. So here I am, once more, on a chair by the tree. So, to recap and wrap up, I am generally okay. I enjoy... There's a cat kind of stretching out on its back, literally. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but no, you definitely won't be able to see it. But a cat lazy on its back, like a tiny sack of potatoes. A tiny crumpled cat. That's my short poem. Anyway, pronouns matter. Respect matters. You wouldn't get someone's name wrong. I wouldn't say, hey, Jane, when I'm talking to Joanne. I wouldn't just start calling Joanne Joe without checking that it's okay. I wouldn't start calling Alex Rex or Adam because, hey, it's pretty much the same thing. I wouldn't call Alex Anne or whatever. And by the same token, if you're using a pronoun for someone, be sure to use their correct pronoun. Using a pronoun pronouns are part of our identity, and she and he have connotations. It's not just about the genitals, it's not just about the gender identity, but there's also connotations on top of that, which is all sorts of messed up, which is why, in a very real sense, I believe that life would be better if gendered language was completely removed, possibly, and we started thinking of people as individuals. I mean, to an extent, why should pronouns even be a thing? Like, maybe it might be as long as someone's name doesn't have too many syllables, why not? You keep using their name whenever you refer to them. And if someone's name does have too many syllables, say, hey, if your name is Jonathan, do you mind if I call you John? And then, like, David Brain does not like being called Dave. So David Brain is David. And, that's, whereas Dave Cousins, Dave Mortimer, and Dave, I'm trying to think of the other Daves I know. Turksy, obviously, and David Turks, it's actually not David, it's something like David, but David says that people pronounce it wrongly, so just call me David or Dave. And I'm trying to think of the Australian Dave, the big Dave. Aurora Pro, Dave. I've forgotten their surname. And I do apologise, Australian Dave, if you are watching this. Aurora Pro, Dave. But the point is that I wouldn't call. Partially, maybe. I feel like it talks about the individual rather than just grouping them into a bunch of names. Joanne says, when a person uses my name wrongly, I don't mind it much, but I prefer it if they would use my name correctly. And that's the thing. Like, I have had people use the wrong pronoun. I have had people call me sir. I don't like it, and I guess I do mind it, but I kind of deal with it. But I would prefer it if it didn't happen. I would, in a sense, pronouns to my mind are kind of problematic. I think that why should we be saying this group of people we identify as she, this group of people we identify as they, this group of people we identify as he? Why do we not if we were doing that for, let's say, people of different races, okay, if you're darker than a certain color, you call that person, oh yeah, Blee is a fine person. And if a person is lighter than a certain color, you say, oh, we is a fine person. And if, you're talking about someone who's, right on the border, then some people call them Blee and some people call them we. Or if you can't quite see someone's color, you've got the. Let's say that was the world. I mean, surely that sounds kind of, whoa, you're summing someone up by the color of their skin. I hope that sounds kind of icky and wrong. And if that sounds slightly icky and wrong, then why is it okay with gender? Why is it okay for us to be using this one word to basically say, on the whole, this person is more feminine than masculine, and so that person is a she, or this person was born with vagina and stuff, and this person was born with identified female as birth. And yeah, Alex says it shows how influential language is. Some languages don't have gender in the same way, and I'm not saying that the language would necessarily be better. That I'm not saying that the world would be suddenly better if we didn't have he and she. Iran has the word man uno khoshamiod. Man, so you wouldn't say there is no word for he and she, just them or they. So if you say I like them, man uno khoshamiod. If you say if you really want to specify that, you would say I like that woman, man un khonomo khoshamiod, or man un mardo khoshamiod if it's man. And but you can sorry, you can specify gender if you want, but it's not normal. But despite that, because of the mullahs in charge, and there is a lot of problematic sexualization in Iran, and but I think it accentuates it. I will listen to stream elements in just a moment. Joanne, firstly, I want to read this comment where you say, if I talk to my parents about a person who happens to have Down syndrome, they will say that Down syndrome guy instead of their name. And yes, that's kind of very reductive, reducing someone to one aspect of them. And that doesn't seem great. Joanne says, I have a friend who calls me Joan instead of Joanne. I've corrected him, but the correction doesn't stick, so I don't worry about it. Dog's barking. In this case, it feels almost like a pet name. He is the only one who calls me Joan. That is fair. And of course, we all have our limitations. Of course. And actually, the one thing I didn't talk about was pronoun badges. Should pronoun badges be a thing? I don't think everyone should have to wear pronoun badges, but let's say in an email footer on Twitter, should people put he or she or they in their pronouns? My ideal is that, yes, everyone would put a pronoun because it normalizes that. Because if only trans folk do it or non-binary folk do it, then it kind of shows that, oh, there's something weird about that person. They're showing their pronoun. Whereas, if there's someone who is, assigned female at birth, who's a cis woman, then by putting she, you are being a very strong ally. So if you are on Twitter, actually, I don't know if I even do it on Instagram, but if there's space for you to put the pronouns in, I would encourage everyone to do so. If I were to just meet you and you were new to me, if I just met you in public, to be fair, says Joanne, I wouldn't know your pronoun preference unless you said. That's totally fair. And that's why I feel, in summary, everyone should use they, because they is something where most people won't mind it. I think that there, out of the hundreds of people that I've had on the stream, if you use she, there's a whole bunch of people who could mind that. If you use he, there's a whole bunch of people who could mind that. But if you use they, I think, I don't know how many people I've had on my stream. I would have to actually do a head count at some point. I know like on one stream alone, I had more than 30 people. It's probably been 100. So I'm going to say that 90% or more of people are happy to be called they. It might not be their preference. It might not be the number one thing that applies to them. But in the case of, hey, I've just met you, I don't know your pronoun yet, please use they. And that is my summary. That's my recap. And yeah, I hope that makes sense. It would be a change for me to let people know my pronoun preference. I would do it if people really wanted me to. And Alex, I'm not sure what you mean by your comment, but Joanne, it's depends where you are and how visible things are. I'm actually going to double check my own Instagram, because do I do it? Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people, I wonder about this, because Instagram, for whatever reason, isn't really a place where people talk about you. Whereas Twitter, people talk about you. I think that I've not seen people doing this on Instagram. I don't do it on Instagram, and I'm actually wondering why. I'm actually going to edit this live. And she or they is also okay. I am actually going to, oh no, it must be 150 characters or fewer. She, let's try that. Profile saved. Okay, so my have I I don't know why it's hey Rob, arrived late and only caught parts of the recap. That's totally fine. I started talking about pronouns about 20 minutes in, and I've got about 20% battery left. Hello Yoda, it is lovely to see you. Hey, I just met you. This is crazy. But here's my pronouns. Let's start with you, they. I like that very much. But your gender is only one thing about you. As you said, it's not something to focus on a lot. Yeah, that's the thing. That is where there's these two competing things. And I don't have a solid answer for that. This is a valid point. But in a world where people are not just misgendering people as, just using they. If people were using they for everyone, then that would be my ideal world, right? If you use they for everyone, then please carry on doing that. And then if anyone says, hey, I feel uncomfortable using they for me, then remember that one person and don't use they for that one person. But as a world we live in, where people are going to risk calling trans women he, or risk calling trans men she, or risk calling non-binary people he or she, these folk have to unfortunately put pronouns in their profile to ensure that their preference is met. And so in a world where other people have to do this to ensure that their preference is met, if everyone does it, then it kind of normalizes it, and it reminds people that, hey, don't take pronouns as assumed. And open brackets, close brackets, one character at the front, one character at the start. So yes, 7 characters. I understand if you've only got 150 characters, 7 characters might be quite a bit. You can also put it at the end, in which case it's only 6 characters. And if you identify as male, then suddenly that's only 5 characters, he, in brackets. And it's a one-time thing. And if you continue using they for everyone, then great, and you don't need to look at it. But for those, it's not for you. Frankly, it's not for anyone watching that. The reason that I would advocate you putting she or he or they in your profile isn't for anyone watching this, because people who are watching this are already mindful. People who see that, who haven't thought about that, are then going to think, oh, why is this person telling me that she is a she? And then they might think, oh, maybe that's because I shouldn't assume that. Maybe that will turn the cogs going in their head. Maybe that will get someone thinking a wee bit. And that is ultimately why I would encourage everyone to do it. Joanne says, my friends from the rainbow community really like watching movies and reading books about being LGBTQ+. I don't want to watch them because I don't really want to watch a whole movie about that. There are other things I'm interested in. If that were the only thing we discussed here, I wouldn't be here, but we talk about lots of interesting things here and we're good friends. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your presence for sure. And yeah, you have, and I understand that, yes, 100%, Alex. Sorry, this is the vigor of my agreement. I think the thing is that stories and movies and books, etc., should be able to include LGBTQ plus people without it being necessarily about that. There should be a gay romance without it having to be that's the entire movie is about this. You should be able to have someone who's like, oh, I don't like sex as a throwaway line because some people are asexual and that's, a valid thing. Um, it should be about someone, yeah, who is clearly flamboyant without being their flamboyance being their defining feature as a character. Do you know what I mean? This reminds me of yesterday. Our recap has really gone off the rails, and this is kind of like a second episode. But I enjoyed the movie The Cage. That was part of the subject, but the whole movie had other topics. I have not watched that. I'm actually time to recap the recap. Okay, wow. Well, this has been a lovely stream. Thank you, Alex and Joanne and Yoda and Rob for popping in. I showed the garden. I walked around the garden. I talked about pronouns. I talked about people about being confident in yourself because you can always be 5% better, but your own sound qualities, just be confident in yourself. Lots of love. I think you're all brilliant. And yep, that is it. Literally lots of love. So much love to everyone. And this has been ridiculous. This has been fun. When I started off and there was no one around, but hopefully if this has been of interest to you, please go back and start watching from the 20 minutes mark approximately. And if you watch on YouTube, you can speed it up and slow it down. Oh yes, and there was also just I'm going to show you very briefly. This also happened. A stick falling on my head. And yep, there was a moment where a stick fell on my head. This was definitely the highlights of this whole stream. I will never forget this. Come on, this stick is about to fall on my head. Maybe I'll... There it goes, there's the stick. And there's my face of confusion. Yep, that's the stick falling on my head. Anyway, that was the stream. Lots of love. And if you want to check me out, I am Stuff by Bez everywhere. Thank you, everyone. You have all been wonderful. If there's anything that you want to share, then please do so right now because it is over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. Me, myself, I am going to be having a chat with someone at 1 p.m. I think it's 1 p.m. Yep, I'm fairly sure it's 1 p.m. Yep, 1 p.m. And then I've got a dentist appointment at 4:30. I am going to try and do the work that I said I'd do for Alan, Paul, and Rita. I'll try and get those things done. I'm going to try and do a wee bit of organisation for a couple of things. And also I will eat some sort of breakfast and make sure that my teeth are brushed after my breakfast/lunch. I do it at the same time. And Alex says, that was a highlight. You might actually forget that because of the mild concussion. No, Alex, I won't. I'm actually... Oh, can't remember where I put the stick in. I'll go to see donkeys later, probably. Oh, that sounds lovely. I'm just trying to make the discussion branch out. Leave it out. Rob says, Alex. Oh, you too. If you want to check out my next streams, then look at my stuffbybez.com/streams. I am going to be streaming for the next 34 days, every day at 10 a.m. UK time. Tomorrow, I am mentoring Yoda. Sunday, I am playing Groot. Monday, discussing publishing with Uli. Tuesday and Thursday are musical shenanigans. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'll be very good, but hopefully it'll be mildly enjoyable. I'll be continuing making the game on Wednesday, and of course next Friday is Friendly Friday Forum, and I will probably, that's a nominal topic. I'll just write in right now. StreamYard is the topic. So I'm going to talk about how I stream using StreamYard, and it might also be. I'll give my affiliates link after that. But also, in addition to that, every Tuesday at 8 p.m., I'm doing the Tip Top Tabletop Tuesdays. Next week is the Most Like a Pineapple. And I'm excited that I got confirmation that that game might be actually published and mass produced quite soon. I'm very excited. I never thought that would happen. The Most Like a Pineapple and also Facts and a Half. Anyway, so might get more people joining in. Also, I've got a new stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and Saturdays. I am going to make it no more than an hour for sure. If you want to make a play date with me at 4 p.m. UK time, then let me know. We can play a prototype, but not so Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, something like Roll and Write. We can play a nap or like something on Board Game Arena, or we can play one of my games and yeah, or an existing Roll and Write. But if that sounds interesting, then please share, spread the word. And but what's our other people up to? And oh, Rob's just twigged that. Oh no, I just twigged that. Yeah, poor Keys. He'll be sad he missed your garden. He's probably asleep. Yeah, I was pondering for a moment. Could I do something in the afternoon? You know what, Keys? If Keys, maybe. Could I make Friday the day of being out in the garden? Could I make Friday? Maybe Friday afternoons I also do something in the garden. Maybe I could. Maybe Friday afternoons could just be Friday I get out the house. I'm going to do that. You know what, Joanne? Tell Keys that if Keys comes in at 4 p.m. UK time, whatever time that is locally, then I will be playing games. I won't be doing a garden tour, but he will at least see some sunny background. And thank you, Alex. I do like that about you. You are also willing to get to the root of the issue. Calm down, Alex. You're drunk. You would say that. Al fresco Fridays. I like it. Boom. It's a topic. That's what we've decided right now. Over to you. Okay. And I have to say goodbye because my computer is now actually forcing it. For my next streams, I've already said that. Share, spread the word. I've already said that. Raid someone. I need to. Oh, Los Bros is. I love Los Bros. Let's raid Los Bros. Exclamation mark raid. Please copy paste parts or all of this message. Oh, Rob is doing snails and grails. That sounds exciting. Enjoy that, please. And Los Bros is a wonderful musician. Lots of shouts outs, lots of love. If you're watching this after the fact, I hope you are generally well. If you have any questions to ask or anything to ask about pronouns, you can ask them in the comments, but do so in a respectful manner and don't expect an instant reply because I find it's easier to speak than type, and that's the simple truth of it. But close that. Thank you, everyone. You are wonderful. Lots of love. And all that's left for now is to say bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. And bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Oh. Bye-bye. 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 Thank you for being pro-pronouns along. That's the thing. Like, I'm pro-pronouns, but I'm pro a singular pronoun. That's the conclusion. Bye, Joanne. Bye, Rob. Bye, Alex. Bye, everyone. Bye, anyone watching after the fact. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Ooh, that's a nice emoji. Ooh, I never got that one. Purple-haired person. Bye-bye. 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 Okay. This is the end. And yeah. So who's ready for some loops and trumpets? Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.